Hi there and welcome. So it's really lovely to see you again, or for you to join us. And we're just going to be doing another video in our series on the 5 gears. So there are 2 previous videos. If you haven't watched those, there's an introduction and there's also one that's about first gear. Today we're going to be looking at gears 2 and 3, which are relational gears. So the question we're really trying to help you answer today, or help you consider, is how are your relationships? So a quick summary of the 5 gears. We've got gear 1, which is about rest and recharge. What do you do to look after yourself, to get recharged? Second gear we're going to be looking at today, which is a connect gear. So those relationships, close relationships to you. Third gear is a social gear, really important gear and often underrated. Fourth gear is a work gear, so task mode. And then we've got 5th gear, which is focused mode. Again, taking that work, but really bringing a sort of sharper focus to it. And I'm forgetting reverse gear as well, which is when we've made a mistake, being prepared to go back and apologize for it. So let's get straight into some content. So 2nd gear, Laura, can you introduce it for us and say why it's important?
Yeah, 2nd gear is the connect gear. So it's that gear we're in when we're really feeling like we are with somebody, we know them, we're listening to them, they're listening to us, and we're kind of in each other's worlds. So you can quite often see it with a best friend or a spouse, or the person you're with, your partner. So it's having quality time really with another person. And you might then want to go on a walk with them, you might have a coffee with them, but it's that time when you really open up your heart and engage at a deeper than surface level.
Right. Why is it important?
Well, it's important because if we don't get into connect gear, I think we can often feel as though we're not known. So loneliness is a really big problem, isn't it, at the moment in our society? And there's all sorts of statistics out there about how lonely people are feeling, even though they're in families and they're in work situations, in communities, surrounded by people, yet they're not feeling as though anyone really knows them or knows how they're feeling. So it's asking, how do you feel? And then asking those backup questions so that you know exactly where they're coming from and you're able to really make them feel that you're with them.
Yeah.
Wherever they are. So it might be if they're having a bad day, or it might be if they're having a good day. It's about laughing with those who are laughing, and it's about crying with those who are crying, and all those sorts of things around conversation. But it's probably not just about conversation, is it? It's not just about talking. Can you think of any other examples of where 2nd gear isn't just about a one-on-one conversation?
I just wanted to add that I think it's about being available. I think one of the challenges with 2nd gear, one of the things that people find hard about it, is there's so many distractions. So to actually say, I'm completely available in this moment with you, and I'm not going to be distracted by my phone. So on a date night, for instance, it's ensuring that you are completely present, or if you're having a one-on-one with one of your kids, perhaps, that they really believe that you are interested in what's going on in their world, you're happy to go at their pace, and you're almost happy to let them lead as well. And so it's important, I think, because obviously that's kind of a big part of why we do what we do, isn't it? Is relationships. You want to have good relationships. And so 2nd gear is really important for growing good relationships.
That's really good. I think as a parent, it's a really good question to ask ourselves. Our kids are in our worlds a lot of the time. Are we ever in their world? Do we ever actually get down on our knees with them, with the Lego, and actually ask them, okay, what's this game about? Or what are you feeling? What are you thinking? So that's a good one, isn't it, as well?
So I'm sure you'll be thinking or you might be asking the question, how am I with 2nd gear? Do I prioritize it? Am I good at it? Can I see that I'm having that regularly? And immediately you might be thinking, oh, that might be, even though we're spending loads of time as a family, we're not having great 2nd gear time. So you might want to do something with that. For some people, it comes really naturally, 2nd gear. They love it. They could spend a lot of time in 2nd gear. For other people, they need to be a lot more intentional about putting that time in. And actually, probably the 2nd gear time is the time that gets squeezed, in order to get jobs done, or work can often interfere with 2nd gear. So I'd encourage you to get it into your schedule and to stick to it, because it's really going to help your closest relationship.
I think some of us find 2nd gear draining. If it's a gear that you find drains you, I was talking to someone recently who was saying that it drains them, make sure that you do some other things during that day. If you know, for example, you've got a date night coming up, or you know you need to make a phone call to your family member or a friend, and you know that you're going to need to be giving out on that phone call and listening intentionally, make sure then that you get some refreshing time, you get some gear one for yourself beforehand, so that you have then got the energy and the capacity you need to really be able to do the gear two, because it matters to a lot of other people.
Great. That's a top tip, and that's a top tip that would work for other gears as well. So you're almost anticipating you're going to need to have some time in that gear. It doesn't come that easily to you. Just make sure you're ready for it. Make sure you've kind of almost prepared for it. Great, let's move on. So second gear, we've literally just scratched the surface of second gear, and there's lots more to say there. But let's move on and think about third gear. So third gear, one of my favourite gears, it's a social gear, a gear that I've really missed during lockdown. It's when you are just hanging out with people, you are enjoying others, you are growing in friendship. If it was at work, you're not really having a work-related conversation. You are finding out what they're interested in, perhaps outside of work. You're checking in with each other, and it's a gear that is often underrated. Why do you think it's underrated, Laura? Or what's your view on third gear in terms of how your view on life, really, your sort of personality?
I find third gear hard. I think that my tendency, because I like work, I like being in gear 5, really focusing in on something, and also I like gear 1 as well, because it's obvious that you need to refresh yourself in order to be able to work harder. But gear 3 sometimes can feel like a waste of time. And I think I've been through a revolution in terms of my thinking about gear 3. Gear 3 is actually the connect gear. So it's a social gear. Gear 2 is the connect gear, but it's a connective gear in the sense that it connects you to gear 2. So you might be in a big gathering of people or a social environment, maybe with neighbours, and then you get into a conversation one-on-one with someone that is just what they needed. They just needed to feel known. So also you can go down into gear 2. You can also move up into gear 4 as well. Yeah. So sometimes in gear 3, a lot of work gets done. People get chatting. Oh, I know a guy who needs what you offer. I know somebody who, oh, you're a tutor. Okay, well, yeah, their son really wants some tutoring. Let me introduce you. So actually, gear 3 is often a place where you can do lots of networking, you can do lots of chatting, but it can lead to some very substantial and exciting projects as well. So if that's you, if you tend to find gear 3 difficult, and someone asked us the other day, is gear 3 necessary? Do we have to spend any time there?
Yeah, they'd like to have done away with it, wouldn't they?
Exactly. The answer is yes. And also there's that sense of being a community as well, of having a community, having others and doing life with others. It's very important to some of us, you included. So it should be important to all of us.
Yeah, and it's great, even for lots of Zoom conversations. I was in one recently and somebody started the conversation with, how are you? It was a work meeting, but how are you? And it was such a great question to ask, because actually, there's lots going on at the moment, isn't it? And we do need to create space, give time for people to be able to really share their experience in that sort of third gear, checking in with each other, making sure that we're doing okay.
So that's a top tip, isn't it? Is actually making sure, if you're on a work call, to spend some time in gear 3, whether that's at the beginning or whether that's at the end. Maybe flag it up. So it might be that you have a meeting that's an hour long, and you say, right, we're going to spend 45 minutes now talking about the business, and then for the last 15 minutes. We're going to crack open a drink, and we're going to just get together, and there's no work chat allowed. We're just going to be having a chat about how we're doing and just check in with each other.
That's good. I think the other filter that I'd want you to run is, just because you like a gear doesn't necessarily mean that you're using it healthily as well. So my challenge would be, I often want to drift into third gear when we should be in fourth or even fifth gear. Okay, or you might want to spend too long in second gear, and it's just maybe not appropriate for the moment that you're in. So ask yourself that question. Yeah, I like it. Yes, I'm good at it. It comes naturally to me. But am I overusing it, really? Or am I undermining my influence with other people because I'm spending too long in that gear?
Brilliant. There's loads more to say on this. We do lots of workshops that are brilliant, which can help lead your team through looking at the gears, how it relates to work, how it relates to family, how it relates to life in general. We've had a lot of fun recently doing that with some great organisations. And if that's something that would be helpful to you, please do get in touch. As always, it's great to be with you, and have a great day.
Take care.